Tropical storms. What's a storm? Storm is a very bad weather, okay? Heavy rain and a strong wind, and sometimes lightning and thunder is storm. The force of the wind and the movement of the ocean are so strong that the ocean waters are carried far inland. Far inland. What is inland? Inland is away from the coast and towards the center of the country. The shapes of beaches and coastal cliffs can be altered too. The shapes of beaches. What's a beach? Beach is the area of sand or stones near beside the sea. Okay. What's coastal cliff? What does coast mean? Coast means the land beside the sea is the coast. Coastal cliff. What is a cliff? Cliff is a high area of land with steep sides, and it's usually beside the sea. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next part.
The shapes of beaches and coastal cliffs can be altered too.
Professor, what about tidal waves?
First, it's better to call them tsunamis, not tidal waves. Nevertheless, yes, tsunamis can also shape the land, but they're quite rare and are primarily the direct results of underwater earthquakes. So, I guess that's a good way to introduce earthquakes. When forces within the planet cause an earthquake, massive destruction can result over an area covering hundreds of miles. The land can literally shift positions by many meters. This can change the course of rivers, make cracks appear in the ground, and cause other changes, such as rust. However, most earthquakes are so weak that they don't alter the land at all. They just, shake it a little. So those are some unusual ways that the land may change. Now, let's discuss the most common way it changes through erosion.
Okay, what is this part about? This part is about tsunamis. Okay, they also shape the land, and it's the result of underwater earthquakes. All right. So when there's an earthquake, there's a very big destruction of land, and the land can move many meters, or it can change the way where the river flows, or make cracks on the ground, and it can cause other changes such as rock slides and toppling of trees. Okay. But mostly earthquakes are very weak, so they don't change the land at all. Okay. And she's saying what she discussed here is the unusual ways that the land may change, and she's going to discuss from now on the most common way the land changes through erosion. That was the end part. Okay. Professor, what about tidal waves? What's a tidal wave? Tidal wave is a large wave, okay, caused by earthquakes under the sea, and the water, a large amount of water flows onto land, and it destroys things on the land. It's quite powerful. Tidal waves and tsunamis are the same thing, but I don't know why the professor said you better call them tsunamis, because I think she has confused tidal waves with tides. What's a tide? Tide is the noun of tidal, okay? Tide is the change, the regular change of the level of the sea on the shore, okay? So tidal wave is different from tides. So why did the student ask about the tidal waves? It's because the professor mentioned ocean floods. So the student is maybe a little bit confused of confusing ocean floods and tidal waves, okay? So what's the difference? Ocean floods are caused by the wind, strong winds, hurricanes, tropical storms, whereas tidal waves or the tsunamis are caused by underwater earthquakes. That's the difference. Professor, what about tidal waves? First, it's better to call them tsunamis, not tidal waves. Tsunami should be Japanese. Nevertheless, yes, tsunamis can also shape the land. Nevertheless, what does that mean? It's the same as nonetheless. You use that when you want to talk about something that contrasts what you have said earlier. Nevertheless, tsunamis can also shape the land, but they're quite rare. And are primarily the direct results of underwater earthquakes. They are quite rare. What does that mean? Rare means not happening often, and are primarily. What does primary mean? Primary means very important. The direct results of underwater earthquakes. What does direct mean? Direct means having nothing in between, okay? Result is what happens because of another thing, okay? Of underwater earthquakes. So I guess that's a good way to introduce earthquakes. Introduce, what does that mean? If you introduce something, you let people know of that for the first time. When forces within the planet cause an earthquake, massive destruction can result over an area covering hundreds of miles. When forces within the planet cause an earthquake, massive destruction. Okay, what does massive mean? Massive means extremely large in size or quantity or extent. Destruction can result over an area. What does that mean, over an area? It means covering the area, covering hundreds of miles. What does cover mean? It means dealing with, all right? Or affecting that much, okay? Hundreds of miles, hundreds of miles. How long is that? Hundreds of miles means 200 miles or 300 miles, but not 1,000 miles, nor 100 miles, okay? Hundreds of miles. What's a mile? Mile is approximately 1.6 kilometers, okay? Forces within the planet cause an earthquake. What's a planet? Planet is a large round object that orbits a star, okay? The Earth is a planet because it orbits the sun, and the sun is regarded as a star. Why do they say that? Forces within the planet cause an earthquake. Earthquake is caused by the movement of the Earth's crust. The Earth's crust. Do you understand? Crust is the outside layer of something, okay? And you also call the outside hard layer of a bread crust too, okay? The land can literally shift positions by many meters. The land can literally, what does that mean? Literal. Literal means by the most basic meaning of a word. You understand? I'm literally dying. If you say that, that means I'm not in a difficult condition or situation. It really means that I am going to die, literally. You understand? By the most basic meaning of a word. Literally shift positions. It means it can, the land can really shift, actually, okay? Actually shift positions. What does shift mean? Shift means to move slightly, all right? Position is where something is, all right? By many meters. What does that mean? By many meters. That means that much. Okay, move that much. This can change the course of rivers, make cracks appear in the ground, and cause other changes such as rock slides and the toppling of trees. This can change the course of rivers. What's a course? Course is the path along which something travels, all right? The course of rivers make cracks. What's a crack? Crack is a very narrow gap between things or on a thing, okay? Make cracks appear. What does appear mean? Appear means to show itself, okay? And other changes such as rock slides and the toppling of trees. What does that mean, topple? Topple means to be unsteady or unstable and fall down. Okay? So toppling of trees means trees falling down. However, most earthquakes are so weak that they don't alter the land at all. Most earthquakes are so weak that they don't alter the land at all. What does at all mean? At all means in any way, okay? In any way, or to any degrees, okay? They just shake it a little. So those are some unusual ways that the land may change. Now let's discuss the most common way it changes. Now let's discuss. What does it mean? Discuss means to talk about something, all right? The most common way. What does common mean? Common means found in large numbers or happening often, okay? Most common way it changes through erosion. What is erosion? Erosion is the gradual destruction or the removal of rocks or soil, okay? Caused by the sea, the river, or the weather, which is wind, okay?